My precious one, lean in closely right now, for what I am about to speak is meant for you alone. Not for the world at large, not for the multitude, but for you, the one who is hearing these words in this very moment. You did not arrive here by coincidence. There is no such thing as coincidence in the story I am writing through your life. This is a divine appointment, set before the foundation of the world, written into the fabric of your days before you ever knew how to cry out for me. I am here. I am speaking. And I am telling you with all the love that heaven contains that something extraordinary has already shifted in the atmosphere of your life. The unseen realm around you has been stirred. A door has swung open that no human hand, no enemy scheme, no voice of doubt can close. It is opened because of you, because of the faith you carried when carrying it, felt impossible, because of the obedience you held on to when obedience cost you everything, because of the surrender you finally, beautifully, bravely chose. My beloved, you did it. You crossed the threshold I was drawing you toward all along. You released what needed releasing. You trusted when you could not see what lay ahead. You obeyed when it would have been so much simpler and so much less painful to refuse. And that act, that quiet, costly, hidden act of surrender, moved heaven. A single choice shifted eternity in your favor. Declare your Amen if you believe. The moment you thought was nothing more than a private, silent decision, a moment that went completely unnoticed by the people around you, became a trumpet blast in the courts of heaven. Angels leaned forward. The enemy trembled. My heart rejoiced over you with a gladness I cannot adequately describe in the language of your world. And in that moment, I declared over your life, now is the time, now is the hour, now is the release, not eventually, not someday, now. The word I am speaking over you today carries that same declaration, pressing it deeper into the soil of your spirit so that it takes root and produces a harvest that will leave you undone with wonder. My child, I have been walking beside you through a long season, a season that tested the very foundations of your trust in me. I know the nights. I know the whispered prayers you sent upward, believing they dissolved into silence. I know the mornings you rose heavy, carrying weight that should not have been yours to carry. And I know the afternoons when the weariness settled so deep that you questioned whether anything would ever genuinely change. You waited when delay felt like it would break you. You endured when endurance demanded the last reserves of your strength. You kept your hand in mine even when you could not feel my hand holding yours in return. And though you did not recognize it, every single one of those moments of perseverance was sowing seed in the soil of your destiny. Seed that is now breaking forth into harvest. Seed that the years could not rot, and the enemy could not steal, and the silence could not neutralize. You have reached the moment where hidden obedience becomes visible blessing, where silent tears become loud and undeniable testimony, where waiting gives way to fulfillment so complete, so total, so beyond what you dared to ask, that you will stand in the middle of it shaking your head in quiet, grateful amazement. Something in the unseen has shifted. It has shifted finally, and it has shifted forever. My precious one, I want you to understand with the clarity of heaven's own light that I was never far from you in those waiting years. Not one step. I was never deaf to your cries, never blind to your pain. I saw every tear fall, and I caught every single one. I heard every sigh, every half-formed prayer, every groan that was too deep for words, and I wrote it all down. I watched you walk into rooms where you felt unseen, unnoticed, invisible, and I whispered into your spirit, I see you. I know you. I have not forgotten you. And though you doubted it in those moments, though the whisper felt like nothing against the roar of your loneliness, it was real. It was true. It was me. While you waited, I was working behind the curtain of time, weaving details together with a precision and a tenderness that would astonish you if you could see it even now. I was aligning people whose paths will now converge with yours at exactly the right moment. I was arranging opportunities that were being prepared specifically for the shape of who you are. I was breaking chains you did not even know held you, dismantling structures that would have limited what I could do in and through your life. I was closing doors you desperately wanted opened, doors that would have led you somewhere that looked good from the outside but carried hidden damage you could not have survived. My silence was not abandonment. My delay was not denial. My apparent absence was the most active season of preparation your life has ever known. State, I trust, if you have faith. And now, beloved, the timing has collided with your obedience. The preparation has met the surrendered heart. The seed has met the season of harvest. And what is being released over your life from this moment forward will carry the unmistakable signature of heaven. I need you to understand the weight, the genuine spiritual weight of what you have done. When you chose faith in the place where fear was screaming, you shifted things in the unseen realm that no human instrument can measure. When you chose obedience over the comfort of familiar patterns, you disarmed the schemes that were assembled against your future. When you chose surrender over the white-knuckled grip of control, you opened your life to my miraculous hand in a way that invitation alone could never accomplish. Do you see it now? That moment you minimized, that act you dismissed as small, letting go of the bitterness that had lived in you for years, forgiving the one who wounded you when forgiveness felt like a betrayal of your own pain, releasing that dream into my hands when holding it felt like the only thing keeping you going, walking away from what I told you to leave, even though leaving cost you the security of the familiar. That was not small. That was monumental. That was a divine turning point written into your story before either of you understood what you were participating in. That was the key that unlocked what has been held in trust for you in heaven, waiting, perfectly preserved. For the moment your hand was finally open enough to receive it. My precious one, you finally did it. You reached the place I was always drawing you toward, and because you did, the release can no longer be delayed. The heavens are already moving in your favor. Doors that were rusted shut are swinging wide on hinges that no earthly force could have turned. Chains that clung to you for years, chains of lack, of delay, of limitation, of the lies spoken over you by people who could not see your worth, have fallen. The atmosphere of your life has shifted, fundamentally and permanently, from waiting into receiving, from weeping into the joy that comes in the morning, from wilderness into the promised land that has carried your name since before you were born. You may not see it all in this moment. The blessings I am releasing do not always arrive with announcement, and the greatest movements in your life will sometimes begin so quietly that you will almost miss them. But you will soon see the evidence. It will be undeniable. It will be tangible and visible and impossible to explain away by coincidence or good fortune. You will not have to convince anyone that I have moved in your life. They will see it. They will marvel at what they see. And they will know, even the ones who doubted you most, that this is the work of my hand upon a life that would not let go of me. Declare, I receive this, if you are ready. My beloved child, let me speak now about what your perseverance has truly cost, and what it has truly purchased. Every time you stood when falling would have been so much easier. Every time you held on when every rational voice around you was urging you to let go. Every time you chose belief when doubt was louder and more persuasive. It was seen. Not only seen, but recorded. Angels marveled. The enemy of your soul trembled, not at your strength, because in many of those moments you had no strength left, but at your willingness to remain. You did not realize what you were doing in those hours. You thought you were merely surviving. You thought you were barely making it through another day. But in truth, you were triumphing. You were walking in a victory you could not see yet, dismantling spiritual strongholds that had stood against your destiny for years, planting seeds with every act of stubborn, costly, beautiful faith that are now bursting into a harvest season unlike anything you have ever witnessed. Your tears, my child, were not wasted. Not one of them. Every tear you cried in secret, in the dark, when no one else knew the weight of what you were carrying. I was there catching them as they fell, treasuring them as precious things. Each tear was a prayer, each sigh a plea. Each groan of your spirit was a seed pressed into the soil of my storehouse. And now those seeds are breaking ground. The tears that seemed so utterly without purpose were watering the soil of the miracles you are about to receive. The nights you wept alone were nights when heaven drew closer to you, when the distance between my heart and yours collapsed to nothing. The moments when your pillow was soaked with grief were moments when I wept with you, and also, quietly, was already weaving redemption out of the pain. Your tears built a river, my beloved, and that river is now flowing. It is flowing with blessing, with restoration, with a joy so deep it will surprise you, because it will arrive in the very places where joy seemed most impossible. What of those prayers you were certain went unanswered? The ones you prayed again and again until your voice grew weary, and your faith grew thin, and you began to wonder if your words were reaching anything at all. Every single one reached me. I never turned my face away. I was storing those prayers like treasures, holding them in perfect preservation, waiting for the appointed moment when releasing the answer would carry the most weight, do the most good, produce the most lasting transformation. You thought the silence meant I had forgotten, but the silence was my strategy. The silence was me aligning people and circumstances and timing so carefully that when the answer finally came, it would not just arrive. It would arrive at the exact moment. It would accomplish everything I intended it to accomplish. My child, that moment is now. The silence has broken. The appointed time has come. What you prayed for, what you longed for, what you dared to hope for even in your most exhausted and discouraged hours, I am releasing it. And not only what you asked, more than you asked. Beyond your requests, beyond your dreams, beyond the widest stretch of your imagination. For I am the God who does exceedingly, abundantly, immeasurably above all that you can ask or think. And your hidden obedience, my beloved, how it has moved my heart. The moments when no one was watching and no one would have blamed you for choosing the easier path, and yet you obeyed anyway. The moments when obedience cost you something real, something precious, something you had built with great effort and hope. You turned away from temptation when it had genuine appeal. You forgave when bitterness was begging you to hold on, promising you it would protect you. You chose honesty when the alternative was easier and safer. You kept your faith when walking away seemed not only reasonable but wise. You gave when giving depleted you. You served when serving exhausted you. You loved when you were being rejected. Every hidden act of obedience was a seed sown in sacred soil. And now those seeds are breaking the ground. What you did in secret, I will reward openly. What you surrendered quietly, I will honor loudly. The obedience you gave me in the shadows is about to shine in the light of my glory. My precious one, I am asking you now to do something that moves beyond words into action. Place a portion of your provision on the stone altar of this ministry as a living covenant of trust. Let what you release from your hand be the proof that you believe my hand will provide. This is not a transaction but a declaration, a holy act that says, I trust the giver more than the gift. Press your seed into the soil of this kingdom work, and watch as the harvest that has been waiting behind the dam of your release comes flooding through. The vaults of heaven respond to surrendered hands. Open yours, and see what I am holding for you on the other side. My child, listen carefully. The season of delay is finished. I need you to hear that not just with the surface of your mind, but with the deep interior place where certainty lives. The silence has ended. Heaven has already begun to move on your behalf in ways you have not yet perceived, and they are moving swiftly. Blessings that were held behind invisible doors are now pouring through. Chains that blocked provision have been broken. Obstacles on your path are being removed. not by your striving, not by your management of circumstances, but by my direct, decisive, irresistible intervention in your story. What was withheld is being released. What was delayed is being accelerated. I am sending answers and provision and healing and opportunities and breakthroughs so close together that the evidence of my movement in your life will be impossible for even the most skeptical observer to deny. The blessings will not trickle, my beloved. They will flood. They will overtake you. They will exceed you. I am not giving you enough. I am giving you overflow, abundance poured out until there is no more room to receive it, and still more coming. I am not merely restoring what was lost. I am multiplying what was lost and returning it with interest. I am not just answering your prayers. I am exceeding them, going beyond the boundaries of what you thought to ask, and revealing a goodness in me that you did not yet know to request. The heavens are open above you. Angels are dispatched and moving on your behalf. The atmosphere of your life has already shifted, and you will feel the difference. Where there was drought, rain is coming. Where there was barrenness, fruit will appear. Where there was silence, songs will rise. The blessing I am releasing is life-changing, undeniable, and unstoppable. It has been set in motion, and nothing can stop it now. No scheme of the enemy, no voice of doubt, no circumstance of delay. For I, the Lord your God, have declared it, and when I declare, it is done. My precious one, I want to speak now about the specific expressions of what I am releasing, because I do not want you to receive a vague promise. I want you to know what to watch for, what to receive, what to steward. The first of these blessings will be provision. You have known lack. You have known the particular anxiety of watching the need approach and not knowing how it will be met. You have stretched what little you had with a creativity born of necessity. You have prayed, Lord, will you provide, in the small hours when the numbers did not add up and the options had narrowed. My child, hear me. The days of scraping and stretching are ending. I am not a God who takes satisfaction in your struggle to survive. I am the God who delights in supplying your needs according to riches that have no bottom, no ceiling, no limit that human financial calculation can express. Streams of provision are flowing toward you from directions you did not think to look. Unexpected favor will open doors that effort alone could never have moved. What was closed will open. What was dry will flow. And when it arrives, you will know it was my hand, because the blessing will come in ways that no human ingenuity could have arranged. But I am not only restoring provision, my beloved. I am restoring your health. The pain you have carried in your body, the weight of the sickness that you have learned to work around, the silent prayers for healing that you have offered so many times that they have become a habit of desperation. You barely notice anymore. I have heard everyone. I have felt what you feel. The heaviness is lifting from your body. I am releasing strength into your bones, breath into your lungs, vitality into every system of the body I designed so carefully for you. What the natural wisdom of physicians could not fully address, my power will restore. Healing will spring forth suddenly in a way that will startle you with its completeness. Not only will your body be healed, but your mind will be renewed, your emotions stabilized and restored, your soul refreshed from the inside out. I am bringing a wholeness that covers every level of who you are, spirit and soul and body together. A complete restoration that prepares you for every good thing I am sending you into. State, I believe, if you have faith. Reconciliation is also at hand, my precious one. I have heard the prayers you have whispered for the relationships that broke under the pressure of pain or misunderstanding or pride, or the sheer accumulated weight of unspoken hurt. The longings you carried for peace in your family, for unity where strife had taken up long residence, for the restoration of a connection you loved and lost, and have never fully stopped grieving. I am moving. I am softening hardened hearts. I am humbling the proud. I am creating openings in conversations that have been closed for years. Forgiveness will flow where bitterness has ruled. Words long postponed will finally be spoken. Wounds long hidden beneath surface civility will be brought into the light and healed with a thoroughness that surface pleasantness could never achieve. The love that is reborn in this season will not be a return to what was fragile before. It will be deeper, truer, more enduring than anything you have previously known, because it will have been rebuilt on a foundation of honesty and my grace, rather than on the temporary mortar of good intentions. You will witness what only my spirit can accomplish. Hearts that were stone becoming hearts of flesh. Relationships that seemed shattered beyond repair being mended with a skill and a tenderness that carries my signature unmistakably. And your prayers, the ones you thought were lost in silence, the ones you offered so many times you stopped counting, the ones you barely dared to pray anymore because hoping had become too costly. I am answering them now. Not just one or two. Many. In rapid succession. Like waves arriving at the shore one after another without giving you time to fully absorb the one before the next one is already coming. Where you prayed for provision, abundance is arriving. Where you prayed for guidance, clarity is breaking through like light through the last clouds of a long storm. Where you prayed for breakthrough, walls are falling. Where you prayed for opportunity, doors are swinging open. Prayers you prayed years ago that you had given up on entirely, I had not given up on them. They were waiting in my timing. The appointed time is now. My beloved child, I want to speak to you now about what comes next, about what it means to step fully into the season I am releasing over you. Because receiving is not passive. It requires something of you. Not striving, not performance, not the exhausting effort of trying to be good enough to keep the blessing once it arrives. What it requires is simply this. Stay close to me. Keep your eyes on me. Let the wonder of what I am doing not pull your gaze toward the blessing and away from the one who is giving it. I waited, among other reasons, because I was preparing you to receive the blessing without being mastered by it, to hold it with an open hand rather than a clutching fist, to be grateful rather than entitled, humble rather than proud, generous rather than hoarding. The season I am ushering you into is not the destination. It is the beginning of a new chapter in the unfolding of a story that is still being written, a story larger and more beautiful than you have yet imagined. And so I say to you what I have always said, from the first moment I drew you toward me, from the first whisper I placed in your spirit before you knew whose voice it was. Trust me, not with a passive, inactive trust that sits back and waits, but with an active, forward-moving, expectant trust that opens its hands and its eyes and its heart to receive what I am pouring. Trust me when the blessing arrives in a form you did not expect. Trust me when the path forward looks different from the path you planned. Trust me when the timing feels too slow, or when the acceleration begins, perhaps even too fast. I know what I am doing. I have always known what I am doing. Every apparent contradiction in your story has been held in the hands of a God who sees the beginning and the end simultaneously, and who has never, not once, lost the thread of your destiny. My precious child, do not underestimate the importance of what you guard in this season. I have spoken to you of blessings arriving, and they are real and they are coming, but I must also speak to you of wisdom. There are things I am birthing in your life that must be protected in their early stages, as every new and tender thing must be protected. Not every sacred thing should be spoken of before its time. Not every miracle in its early motion needs an audience. There is wisdom in the protection of silence, in the keeping of certain sacred things between your spirit and mine, until they are strong enough to stand on their own in the open air of others' opinions. When Joseph shared the dream too soon, he paid a price for it. When David received his anointing, there was a long and hidden season before the throne. The pattern of my kingdom is often to work deeply and quietly in the interior, before the evidence becomes visible and undeniable on the exterior. This is wisdom, my beloved. This is not timidity or lack of faith. It is the deep discernment of someone who knows the difference between what is ready to be spoken and what is still being formed. Guard what I am growing in you. Protect the seedlings of miracle and breakthrough until they have become the oak that nothing can uproot and everyone can see. I love you. Not in the way that requires your performance to sustain it. Not in the way that diminishes when you are weak or uncertain or less than you think you should be. I love you with the fullness of heaven, with an affection that has never wavered through the long years of your wandering, with a commitment to your wholeness and your flourishing that nothing in this age or any age to come can interrupt or undo. You are mine. You have always been mine. And the season I am releasing over your life now is not a reward you earned through sufficient faithfulness. It is the natural expression of what I always intended for you from the moment I dreamed you into being. So lift your head, my beloved. Wipe the tears that belong to the season that is ending. Step forward into the light of what is beginning with the same courage you brought to every dark hour that prepared you for it. The evidence of my faithfulness is about to become the most prominent feature of your life. The testimony you will carry from this season will strengthen everyone I send across your path. The joy that is coming to you is not just for you. It is for everyone your transformed life will touch. You are entering a season of such visible, undeniable blessing that your very existence will become a declaration of my goodness. People will look at you and find hope for their own lives. They will look at what I have done for you and dare to believe I could do the same for them. This is the weight of the gift I am entrusting to you, my precious child. Not just blessing for yourself, but blessing that overflows and becomes provision and encouragement and demonstration for everyone I have written into your story. Carry it well. Carry it with humility and gratitude and the wide-open generosity of someone who received when they did not deserve, and therefore gives without measuring. Let your life become the living proof that I am who I say I am, that I do what I say I will do, that no waiting is too long, no pain too deep, no situation too far gone for my redemptive hand to reach into and transform into something that carries the unmistakable beauty of my design. The season is here, my beloved. The door is open. The blessing is flowing. The miracle is unfolding even as these words settle into you. You will not have to wait much longer to see with your own eyes the confirmation of everything I have spoken. Soon, the world around you will see it, and you will testify with a joy that rises from a place deeper than emotion. My God has done what He promised. My God has moved beyond my dreams. My God has proven Himself faithful through every delay and every darkness and every moment I doubted, and I will never be the same again. Declare your Amen if you receive this word. My beloved, let me speak once more about the nature of what has been shifting in the unseen realm around you, because I want you to understand that the spiritual movements I have described are not poetic language for something vague and uncertain. They are real. The unseen world is more real than the visible one, and what happens in it has direct and tangible consequences for every detail of your daily life. When I say that a door is opened, I mean that access has been granted to places and people and possibilities that were previously outside your reach, not because you were unworthy of them, but because the time was not yet. The access was being held in trust, guarded carefully, until the moment your life was prepared to receive it, without being overwhelmed by it. Think about what it means for a door to be opened by me. It means that the room beyond it was already furnished before you knocked. It means that the opportunity was already arranged, the relationship already being prepared, the provision already being assembled. You arrive at an open door and find that everything necessary for what you were called to do in that space has already been placed there. You do not walk into the unknown. You walk into what I've already made known in heaven and am now making visible in your life. This is the promise of an open door from my hand, not a hopeful invitation into uncertainty, but a confident entrance into what has been waiting for you with my full preparation behind it. And the doors I close, trust me in those too, my precious one. I know how much the closed doors have hurt. I know the specific ache of reaching for something with full heart and full expectation, and finding it would not open. I know what it costs to trust me in that moment, to resist the conclusion that the closed door means something is wrong with you, that you are disqualified, that the blessing is for others, but not for you. The doors I close are acts of protection and redirection, not rejection. They lead away from what would have diminished you or damaged you or pulled you off the path I have been preparing. And behind every door I close, I am already opening another one, a better one that leads exactly where you were always meant to arrive. Trust me in the closings as much as in the openings. They are both expressions of the same love. My child, I want to speak about the people who are coming, not the ones who doubted you or the ones who left. Though I have spoken of restoration in those relationships, and I mean every word of it. I want to speak about the new ones, the ones who are not yet in your life but are already on their way, being prepared in their own seasons of difficulty and growth, being shaped by their own waiting into exactly the kind of companions you will need for what I am calling you into. These are people who will see what I placed in you and celebrate it rather than diminish it. People who will hold space for your becoming rather than requiring you to have already arrived. People whose gifts and calling and life experience will fit alongside yours, the way two adjacent puzzle pieces fit. Not because the connection is effortful, but because they were made for each other in the economy of my kingdom. You have been lonely in ways you have not always been able to articulate. Not simply the loneliness of physical isolation, but the loneliness of feeling unseen in a crowd, of being surrounded by people who know your name, but not your depth. That loneliness has been real, and I do not minimize it. But it is also ending, my beloved. The season of feeling unknown and unmet in the deep places is giving way to a season of connection that feeds your spirit and strengthens your calling, and reminds you on a daily basis that you are truly, substantively, deliberately known. My precious one, I also want to speak to you about your purpose, about the specific and irreplaceable contribution that you and only you are here to make. Because one of the most persistent lies the enemy has placed in the path of your confidence is the suggestion that your contribution is not significant enough to matter, that you are not gifted enough, not educated enough, not visible enough, not polished enough to make a difference that counts. This is a lie that carries the enemy's signature clearly, because it strikes at the very thing I placed in you to use for the good of many. Your purpose is written into the particular configuration of who you are, your history, your wounds, your capacity for compassion, your way of seeing what others miss, your voice that carries a frequency that certain hearts are specifically tuned to receive. There are people who will only hear what they need to hear if it comes from you, not from someone more prominent or more polished or more certain of themselves, but from you, the one who walked through exactly what they are walking through now, the one whose voice carries the weight of someone who has been in the dark and found the light again. This is not a small thing. This is not something you can afford to minimize or delay any longer. The assignment I have prepared for you is ready. The people who need what you carry are already in motion toward you. And the only question remaining is whether you will show up for it with the fullness of who you are, rather than the diminished version you have offered the world when you were afraid of taking up too much space. Take up the space, my beloved. Take up every inch of the space I made for you. Fill it with the particular and irreplaceable expression of who I created you to be. Let your voice be heard at its full strength. Let your gifts be offered without the apology that has accompanied them for too long. Let your life be lived at the full volume of the calling written on it, because the world is quieter in exactly the places your voice is meant to fill. And as you do, as you step into the fullness of this season with every part of you engaged and expectant, I will be doing what I have always done, walking beside you, working ahead of you, holding the things that are too heavy for human hands alone, turning what seems like obstruction into opportunity, making the crooked ways straight and the rough places smooth. I will be doing what I have always done and what I will never stop doing. Loving you, my precious child, with a love that is the ground beneath your feet and the horizon ahead of you and every good thing between. This is my promise. This is my declaration over your life. Not tentative, not conditional, not dependent on your performance or your faith being strong enough on the days when faith feels like the most demanding labor you have ever been asked to do. My promise stands on my nature, not yours. My faithfulness is secured by who I am, not by how well you hold together. And I am faithful. I am true. I am the God who has never once failed a promise, who has never abandoned a child who kept their hand in mine even when the hand that held them could not be felt. I am the God who redeems every loss and transforms every sorrow, and brings forth, out of the most barren and unpromising soil, a harvest that leaves the farmer speechless with gratitude. So go forward, my beloved. Go forward with your head lifted and your hands open and your heart expectant. Go forward with the confidence of someone who has heard the voice of the one who made them, who has received the word of the one who holds their future, who has been told the truth about who they are by the only one whose truth about them is the real and final truth. You are loved. You are chosen. You are prepared. You are stepping into the season I have held in trust for you through every difficult year that shaped you for exactly this. And I am with you. I will always be with you. Not occasionally, not when you have earned it, not when you have reached a sufficient level of faith or holiness or devotion. Always. Every step, every breath, every morning, every night, every moment of this beautiful, sacred, purposeful life I gave you, and am still giving you now. The season is here. The blessing is flowing. The miracle is unfolding. Go, my precious one, and watch what I do. My precious one, I want to return to the subject of what I mean when I speak of transformation, because I think the word has been used so often in the language of faith that it has sometimes lost its power to convey what I actually intend. When I say that a transformation is coming over your life, I do not mean a cosmetic adjustment, a surface rearrangement of circumstances that leaves the deeper architecture unchanged. I mean a root-level renovation. I mean the kind of change that goes all the way down into the foundational beliefs about who you are and who I am, and what is actually possible. The kind of change that makes you unrecognizable not to yourself, but to the diminished version of yourself you have been living as for longer than you should have had to. The transformation I am bringing begins in the interior. It begins in the room of your thinking, where the old narratives live, the ones that keep telling you the same story about your limitations and your unworthiness, and the insurmountable distance between where you are and where you long to be. Those narratives are losing their authority. They are losing it now as you hear these words. Every word of truth I speak enters the interior of your life and displaces a measure of the false. Light does not negotiate with darkness. It simply enters, and darkness recedes in proportion to the light's advance. That is what is happening in you right now. Truth is advancing. The false is retreating. And in the space that opens up as the old narratives give ground, something new is growing. Something rooted in the real truth of who I made you to be. This interior transformation will express itself in ways that others will notice before you do. They will see a difference in the way you carry yourself, a quietness in your confidence that was not there before, a groundedness that does not require external validation to remain steady. They will notice that you no longer shrink when you are challenged, no longer collapse when you are criticized, no longer build your sense of self from the reactions of those around you. They will notice that something has settled in you, something deep and calm and secure, and they will not always know what to call it. But you will know. It is simply the knowledge, held not just in the mind, but in the bones, that you are fully and permanently and unconditionally known and loved by the one who made everything and chose, out of everything he could have made, to make you. Out of this transformation, my beloved, comes a freedom you have not yet fully experienced. The freedom to be entirely yourself, without the constant management of how you are being perceived. The freedom to bring your whole self to every conversation, every room, every relationship, without holding back the parts of yourself that you have been afraid would be too much or too strange or too vulnerable or too strong. I made every part of you on purpose. There are no surplus parts, no aspects of who you are that were included by mistake and should have been edited out. The very things you have been most tempted to hide are often the very things that carry the most of what I intended to give, through you to the people around you. Your depth, your sensitivity, your fierceness, your tenderness, your capacity for both laughter and grief, your willingness to sit with complexity rather than demanding false simplicity, these are gifts. They are the particular and beautiful expression of my image in you, and the world is poorer when you hide them. So I say to you again, my precious child, show up. Show up in the fullness of who you are. Let the people in your life encounter the real you, not the carefully managed version you have been presenting to keep yourself safe. The relationships worth having will be deeper and more sustaining for your realness. And the ones that cannot hold the real you are simply revealing that they were never meant to be the foundation of your life, only a passage to where you are going. Let nothing keep you smaller than you are. Let nothing convince you that the world needs a diminished version of you more than it needs the full and uncensored and alive expression of the person I formed. My beloved, I am coming to the end of what I want to speak to you in this hour, but I want to leave you with something to carry forward, a single truth so clear and so complete that it can anchor you on the days when everything else feels uncertain. That truth is this: I have not changed. Everything around you may shift. Circumstances will move, and people will come and go, and seasons will turn, and what felt certain will sometimes feel uncertain again. But I have not changed, and I will not change. My love for you has not changed. My purpose for you has not changed. My commitment to your wholeness and your flourishing and the full expression of the life I prepared for you has not changed. I am the same yesterday and today and forever. And that means that everything I have spoken over you in this hour carries the weight of an eternal constancy behind it. These words will not expire. This promise will not fade. This love will not find a better use for itself elsewhere. You are my beloved. You have always been my beloved. And you will be my beloved when the seasons that feel so pressing right now are long past, and the story they were a part of has been fully told and understood. In that day, you will look back over the whole of the path with the benefit of completion and perspective, and you will see that every thread was held, every detail was known, every apparent contradiction was part of a coherence so beautiful that the only right response will be the deepest, most grateful, most wholly meant amen that your spirit is capable of. I am moving you toward that day. I am carrying you toward that amen. And every step between here and there is held in my hands. Go in peace, my precious one. Go with the full assurance of what I have spoken. Go expecting the evidence of my goodness to appear at every turn. Go with your hands open and your heart willing and your eyes bright with the expectation of one who has heard the word of the Lord and chosen, with everything that is in them, to believe it. You are loved. You are known. You are held. And the best of your story is still ahead. The tide has turned. The season has shifted. The best is coming, and it is coming now. I have spoken it, my beloved, and I do not take back what I speak.